Yo guys, what's going on? It's FusionBlitzx here, bringing you the best screen recorders for capturing gameplay. Now the thing is, if you are a content creator and you're a PC gamer, the thing is you're going to need a screen recorder to capture your gameplay. Using a camera is not a good option, and using a capture card, a dedicated capture card like you would use on a console, is just a lot more expensive and not ideal if you happen to be using a PC. Now this video is being made about a year and a half after I made how to record Minecraft with Shadowplay. Back then Shadowplay was a screen recorder I used, but since then I have moved on. I have found some new screen recorders that happen to be very good. They're very good pieces of software, and in this video I'll be providing a breakdown on 4 of the most popular screen recorders and then giving you guys my opinion on which one I think is the best. So the first couple of screen recorders we have here are the 4. We have Nvidia Shadowplay, of course, the one from my previous video. We have OBS, multi-platform. This is like the new version of OBS that's been released. We have Mirillis Action, which is a somewhat unknown screen recorder, but it's very good, as we will get to see later in the video. And we have Dxtory. I'm not including Fraps in this test because Fraps is not usually used that much for screen recording because it's just really inefficient. File sizes are really big and it's just a pain to work with. Fraps is better left as like a benchmarking tool to capture frame times, minimum, average and maximum FPS numbers and stuff like that, and just getting a general FPS counter. Not really that great for recording games anymore. But yep, those are the 4 screen recorders I will be testing. I'll be testing things like the interface, the options, the quality of the videos, which is kind of hard to show on YouTube, but I'll try my best, file sizes and things like that. So the first thing I'm going to do is show you guys the interface and the options of all 4 screen recorders. So I'll see you then. Okay guys, now we are looking at the interface and options for Nvidia Shadowplay. Now I'm currently using Nvidia Shadowplay to record my screen right now, so I won't be able to show you the settings in depth, but you'll understand what I'm saying anyway. So first of all, you have your little Shadowplay tab in GeForce Experience. You need an Nvidia graphics card that is above a 650 Ti to use Shadowplay. Not that big of a deal. And yep, let's just get straight into it. So the first thing we see here is your mode. What the mode is you have your regular recording of videos where you click a button, it starts recording, you click a button, it stops recording, just like most screen recorders. But then you have your shadow mode. Now this is good because it means you don't always have to be actively recording. But if you get like a really nice clip in any shooter, for example, like you hit a trick shot or something, you can click the your shadow key, and what will happen is it will save a certain amount of gameplay from the past. So say your shadow time is 10 minutes, you're pretty much having a buffer of 10 minutes in the past, which you can always record whenever you feel like, but you're not actually saving it to a file, which is good for saving hard drive space. So you don't have to test it out to see for yourself, but it's really nice and it's really helpful. So you have your 2 modes there, and you can have both of them enabled at the same time, which is cool. Your quality settings are pretty basic. You can choose from various bit rates, and you can choose from your FPS from 30 or 60. Not much choice there. And then you have your audio options where you can choose whether to record just the in-game sound or to record your microphone as well, which I'm doing right now. And yep, you can choose where to save your folders with this, and that's about it for recording. If you go into your preferences and your Shadowplay thing, you can set up overlays, status indicators and FPS counters in various positions. You can set up your microphone to be always on or push to talk. And you have your keyboard shortcuts, your recording places, your temporary file locations for your shadow files, which I explained earlier. And yep, that's really it for Shadowplay. It's a pretty slick interface, but with pretty basic options. That's it for Shadowplay. Alright guys, now let's take a look at Dxtory, because this is another very popular piece of software that a lot of people like to use. So the interface is pretty simple. You have a bunch of tabs which have a bunch of different settings, which we'll go over through shortly. But your profile determines what game you are essentially going to be recording. And here you see I have Counter-Strike, Black Ops 2, and just a bunch of other programs just there that you can record. And that's fairly simple. I'm not here you can show some information about whatever you're capturing. It's really not that important, but it might be depending on what kind of a tinkerer you are. Here you can set up your FPS overlays, and it shows the status So you can show your video FPS, the FPS that you're writing the video at, and you have your status indicators and the colors and whatnot. So that's all nice and dandy. Here you can set up which folders you want to record to, and you can also benchmark the speeds of those individual drives. So as you can see, my hard drive speed for my Minecraft videos that I used to record with is 119 megabytes per second, which is pretty good for a hard drive. And yep, you can just easily add that in this tab. Here are your keyboard shortcuts. I don't have to do much. I just have start and stop movie capture, and you can use just the default settings, or you can set up your own hotkeys for all these things right here. Now these are your movie settings. Now let's go over the video codec. Here you can choose a bunch of different codecs to record your videos, and depending on the one you use, you're going to get varying levels of performance, varying levels of quality and things like that. I use a Lagrange lossless codec because it's pretty fast and it gives you a lossless file that's pretty well compressed. Again, you can choose the size of your clips, so if you want a 1080p or 720p and whatnot, and you can choose the size, percentage. You can choose what kind of file you want, an AVI or a raw cap file, which is alright. I'd prefer to have MP4, but it only has AVI and stuff like that. You can include the mouse cursor in your videos if you want or not, because you know some videos don't have the mouse cursor, and you can choose that. You can synchronize video FPS if you feel like, and you have your scaling options, which is alright. Now with the audio settings, this is really good because you can have multiple tracks in Dxtory. Now this is good when you're doing a live commentary because you can separate your microphone audio from your game audio and change the sound and the editing on both of them so it doesn't sound terrible. So if your voice is too quiet in a recording, you can just boost up your voice and not the game sound, which is nice, and it's really easy to add tracks. And you can add different audio sources for them, so you can have one for your game audio, one for microphone, one for Skype audio, just stuff like that. It's pretty good. And you can choose your audio codecs as well, which is whatever. Now these are your screenshot settings, which is whatever. You can take screenshots with the screen recorder if you want. You have some advanced settings which are not that important, but it can help with performance depending on which settings you choose and how you configure them. Some global settings like check for updates and whatnot, and information, and that's it for Dxtory. As you can see, it has lots of options and is a pretty good screen recorder in general, pretty easy to use as well. But yeah, that's it for Dxtory. Okay guys, now we're taking a look at Mirillis Action, which is my personal screen recorder, and once you've seen the whole video you'll see why. So let's take a look at the interface. So in the first tab you have your video recording, you have your hotkey. You have 3 different recording modes. The first one are your games and applications that are either DirectX or OpenGL, so things like Minecraft will record just fine in full screen, which is good because with Shadowplay you don't really have that option. It only records DirectX 11 games in full screen, which is kind of annoying. You also have your active screen, so we'll just record your desktop if you want, and you also have the active desktop region, which you can select an area to record. Like you can record just a small area of your screen if that's what you want to. Now with file format, you don't have many options. You have AVI, you have MP4, but you also have MP4 with Nvidia's own codec. Now why this is great is because if you use this codec, it essentially uses your GPU to capture the gameplay, and it's using specialized hardware on the GPU that's not really used for, your actual game. What that does is it gives you really good FPS in-game. Like, you're not going to take a hit in your FPS, but gives you really good quality in recordings that are decent file size and things like that, which is good. And that's why this is really nice, because it's essentially just like Shadowplay, really, without the downsides of Shadowplay, because this software is just so much nicer than what Shadowplay gives you. But I digress. Now with video size, you can choose what size you want. If you want original, that'll just record it at whatever your game is running at. If it's 720p, it'll capture in 720p. If it's 1080p, it'll capture in 1080p. You have your frame rates and some odd ones as well, like 15, 20, 24, all the way up to 120 if you really want high frame rate gameplays, but that will be a lot more difficult for a lot of people because 120 FPS, your file size is going to be bigger and it's harder to capture. Now, forget about duration. What I'm going to talk about is time shift. Now, time shift is essentially Shadowplay. Like, there's absolutely no difference between Shadowplay and time shift. It's the exact same shadow feature, so if you get a good clip but you're not recording, press your time shift button and it records a certain amount of gameplay. In this case, 10 minutes in the past, which is good. Now we have your record system sounds if you want to record the game sounds. We have multi-channel audio recording. Now this is good because again, it's just like in Dxtory where you have your game audio and your microphone audio separated into different tracks. That's good. You have your microphone. In here you have your video recordings. It even allows you to upload straight to YouTube or share to Facebook if you want. And you can even play the thing within your own action player, which is alright. Here you have your live streaming information, which is alright. I haven't really tried it because I don't live stream, but might be important for some people. You have remote action where you can control it from other devices. You got your audio recording if you just want to record audio and stuff like that. Benchmarking if you want to benchmark stuff. Screenshots if you want screenshots, and just some general settings which can configure your quality and stuff like that, which is good. Multi-core rendering, stuff like that. And yeah, that's really about it for Mirillis Action. This is my personal screen recorder and I love it. But we'll get into the rest of it sooner or later. Okay guys, now we're taking a look at OBS multi-platform. Now this screen recorder is not as easy to use as some others, but it's free, which is more than I can say for Dxtory and Mirillis Action because they cost money, but I think they're worth it, especially Mirillis Action. But anyway, let's get into OBS. So with OBS, you have your specific scenes which you can name, and then you can add sources of, gameplay or video that you want to capture. In this case, game capture, which you can essentially capture for any full screen application or certain applications like a game you want to record and stuff like that. You can have different profiles for that. You can also live stream if you want. Now let's take a look at the settings. You have your default settings like your language and your theme, which you can change. I think dark looks pretty nice. Then you have your streaming services like Twitch, Hitbox, and stuff like that, where you can choose your servers and everything, and you can set your stream keys, but I don't live stream nor use OBS, so I haven't done that. You can choose how you want to output, simple or advanced. You have your streaming bitrate, which affects the quality of your stream, and your audio bitrate, which affects the quality of your audio. You have your recording path, so where your recordings are going to be saved. Wouldn't want to save it to my my SSD because that's pretty tiny. And you got your recording format, FLV, MP4, stuff like that. And recording quality, which is stuff like that. Now your audio settings, you can choose your sample rate, your channels, and all that stuff that you'd expect, and you can add other audio devices if you feel like. Here you can choose the renderer, your video adapter, which I can't for some reason, your resolution, your FPS values, stuff like that, and downscale filters if you're downscaling. Then you can set up your hotkeys and some other stuff. This is multi-platform. It's not as, fully featured as OBS, the original one yet, but it has multi-audio track recording, just like Mirillis Action and Dxtory, so that's nice. But it's a pretty simple layout. It works for what it is. Its performance is pretty good and it's free, so you can't really complain about that. That's really it for OBS. Not that too well versed in OBS, but after recording with it for a while, it's not for me. But I can see why people can like it. Okay guys, now that we've taken a look at the options and the interface of all screen recorders, let's take a look at some more important metrics. Things like recording quality, your file size, and your FPS while recording, because those things are really important when deciding upon a screen recorder. And while I'm talking about that stuff, you will notice some gameplay in the background. 4 pieces of gameplay, in fact, of different games I've recorded. Well, actually, it's the same game, but different segments with each of the screen recorders, so you can compare the quality differences. Not sure how it's going to look on YouTube, but hey, it's the best I can do right now. Uploading all the video files for you guys to compare would take forever. But hey, that's all I can give you right now, so just enjoy that. So when it comes to recording quality, in terms of video, Dxtory wins by a small margin. It's not that big of a difference, but Dxtory is somewhat noticeably better in the, the detail department. It just looks much closer to the original than any of the others. And that's not to say that the others are bad. They are indeed very, very good, but Dxtory is just a slight bit ahead. So if that's what really matters to you, Dxtory is a very good option. And that's of course using their own codec at the highest settings, and that's obviously gonna have a performance hit, but hey, that's what you gotta pay if you want the best quality. Now when it comes to file sizes, OBS, Mirillis Action, and Shadowplay had around the same file size in my experience, and I was a bit shocked by this because I didn't think OBS would have the exact same file sizes. Both my settings, they pretty much had the same file sizes, give or take a couple of megabytes, and that really surprised me. And as such, their quality was also pretty similar, which is a good thing to see. And yep, but Dxtory on the other hand, their file sizes were quite a bit bigger, but that's to be expected when you're recording at, like, you know, very high bit rates with very good quality. But I was surprised to see that the file sizes for Mirillis Action, Shadowplay, and OBS were so low, considering that the quality wasn't that much worse. It was still really high quality. So if you're really looking for low file sizes, you really want either Mirillis Action, OBS, or Shadowplay. Now, the last thing we're going to talk about here is your FPS while recording. And for this, it's a tie between Mirillis Action and Nvidia Shadowplay. Now, what's really good about these two things is it uses Nvidia's dedicated hardware, their H.264 encoder, on the GPU to record the gameplay. It's completely separate from the rest of the GPU and is not used to render frames in your games or anything, and as such, your performance hit is very, very low. Next comes OBS, which is a little bit slower than Mirillis Action or Shadowplay, but it's not that much worse. The performance hit is quite low considering the quality you're getting, and it's pretty nice. Like, I gotta admit, the quality and the file sizes combined with the low performance hit is good, but then again, it's still slightly more than Mirillis Action and Shadowplay. And of course, Dxtory is the worst for your PC just because of all the high quality settings, which you can change if you want, but at that point, you're just better off with OBS. So in conclusion, which is the best screen recorder for capturing gameplay on a PC? In my opinion, it is Mirillis Action. And of course, this is based upon facts. As you've seen, the quality is very good. It's comparable to Shadowplay and OBS, and only slightly worse than Dxtory. The options are great. You have great customizability with your audio and your video and things like that, which is good. And it has low, small file sizes, not low. They have very small file sizes, and that's exactly what I want from a screen recorder. That's what I get. It is paid. I can't remember how much it was. I think it was like $40, but that's a very good value considering how much stuff you can get out of the screen recorder. It is amazing. You can live stream with it. It has a time shift feature. It's better than Shadowplay in every respect, because you can even record at 120 FPS if you want. And if you don't want to chalk up money for a screen recorder, OBS is obviously your best choice. It's a little bit better than Shadowplay at this point just because it can record multiple audio tracks. Just for that fact alone, OBS is better. But Dxtory right now, I wouldn't say is as good as it used to be, just because the options right now are just so good. So if you're in need of a screen recorder, either get Mirillis Action if you have some money to spare. $40 is not that much. Or if you don't want to spend money and you just want a good screen recorder, OBS is the way to go. So hopefully you've enjoyed this comparison video. And as always, thanks for watching. Peace out.